Well, I just got the new beta software. We're on 10.69.3.3. Let's take it for a little drive down to Salt River Pass for some skiing and see how this performs. Now, Tesla's been trying to improve their range prediction, and today we're starting out with 85%. They say we're going to arrive at Salt River Pass with 66%, and then the round trip they're saying 55%. I guarantee you those numbers probably aren't going to match. Now, I don't recommend using full self-driving or any cruise control for that matter on slick and icy roads. But just for demonstration purposes, I'd like to show you what the full self-driving looks like on this back road where there's no traffic at fairly low speed. As you can see, it definitely doesn't need lane markers or any road markings of any sort to keep you centered on the road. And I think it does a pretty good job. I just don't trust it on ice. In just a few minutes, we'll get off this back secondary road and we'll be out on the highway and the road should be dry. We should be good to go to use full self-driving. Out on the open highway, the current version of full self-driving is okay, not perfect by any means. I pretty much know its weaknesses, and I'll take corrective action beforehand. I'm curious if this version has improved the speed reduction problem that I've pointed out in many of my past videos. As we approach the town of Etna, the speed limit drops from 65 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. There is a warning sign for the speed limit change, then the actual speed limit. Tesla recognizes the actual speed limit sign, but instead of applying regen to reduce the speed, it goes into a coast mode. It just takes way too long to reduce the speed, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to get caught in a speed trap. No change in this version. The range prediction is dropped from 66% to 64%. The current temperature is 13 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 10 Celsius. Dry roads and not much wind. So far, the full self-driving has been doing pretty well. Only 2 disengagements. Once to reduce the speed in Etna, and a second time when the car in front of me applied his brakes to make a turn off the highway. I'm sure the car would have braked in time, it's just a bit too slow to react for my liking. The temperature has slowly been dropping. It's currently minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit. A little bit of an inversion here as we drop down into Afton. The temperature should warm up a little bit as we go up in elevation to where we plan to ski. So this is the small town of Afton, Wyoming. And in Lincoln County here, we have actually a kind of a charging desert. There really are no DC fast superchargers in the whole entire county. And it's a pretty big county. Just last week, lo and behold, up on PlugShare popped up a DC fast charger here in the town of Afton. I was really surprised. And there's 2 CCS chargers. And they're essentially 60 kilowatts, so they're not a super fast charger, but boy, what a godsend it'll be for people who are driving cars that are trying to make that distance between Evanston and Jackson. And you can find it if you go onto PlugShare. It's just off of 3rd Street here. And they're brand new. There's CCS and CHAdeMO. And based on what I've seen on PlugShare, they're 62 kilowatt chargers. They are essentially 30 cents a minute. They charge by the minute here. I don't know, I think there's some legal issues about charging by the kilowatt hour. So if you have a non-Tesla, or you have a Tesla with a CCS adapter, this is a really key place to know that these exist. Because it could really be a lifesaver if you're trying to make that distance between Evanston and Jackson and it's wintertime. There are just no other opportunities as far as I know for any kind of a fast charge. And this is downtown Afton. It's easily walking distance from those chargers, so if you have to be there for an hour, you could get out and stretch your legs, go get a bite to eat. Pretty cool. Well, we're 28 miles into the trip so far, and now the Tesla has dropped their prediction down to 63%. So the big question is, what will it be when we arrive? Well, we're climbing up in elevation, and we're climbing out of that cold inversion. And just as I predicted, the temperature has now risen up. We're at 19 degrees now. It's going to be perfect temperature for cross-country skiing. Well, we have arrived at the parking area for where we plan to ski. The consumption is pretty high. We've driven 44.4 miles at almost 450 watt-hours per mile. And we arrived with 64%. Okay, we're on our trip home, and here's what they're predicting. Predicting we should arrive with 49%. It's interesting that we lost 2% while we've been out skiing, and we had our Sentry mode on. We're starting at 65, and here's the warning sign for 45. Up ahead you can see that's 45. And as soon as I get to the 45 sign, I'm going to take the display. We'll see what's going to go on here. So we're supposed to be at 45. And you can see right here, there's no regen going on at all. So there's no attempt to slow the car down. I think it's just coasting. And, you know, if there was a local sheriff or somebody there, you know, they'd give you a ticket. And we're coming out the other side of this town. The speed limit's going to pick up to 65, and the slowest we ever got going was 51 miles per hour. So that's something they need to fix. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. And if you watch one of my other videos, it's the passing lanes are also a problem. But so far I haven't had any false braking. It's been steering pretty well. No real complaints there. Tesla did pretty well on their range estimation on this trip, especially given the variation in temperature. When we started out the trip, Tesla said we returned home with 55%. And keep in mind, we used 2% on Sentry mode when we're out skiing. At the halfway point, they said we'd have 49%, and when we got home, it actually turned out to be 48%. The last leg of the trip, we used 276 watt-hours per mile. The reason it was used so much less energy is it was downhill coming from the ski area and a little bit warmer. So total trip, 89.2 miles, and we used average 362 watt-hours per mile. Well, this latest update to the full self-driving is just pretty much an incremental improvement over what we've had in the past. Tesla's been concentrating most of their efforts on the in-town and in-city driving. And for those of us who are out on two-lane highways, we just haven't seen a whole lot of improvements in the self-driving software. From what I understand, the next major revision of the software, they're going to be implementing all the improvements and changes that they've made for city driving over to highway driving. And I really think that's going to improve the driving performance out here on our two-lane roads. Well, I'm eagerly awaiting those improvements to be pushed to us. And when we get them, we'll go out and we'll do some more testing. We'll see just how it performs. Well, I hope to see you in my next video. Until next time, be safe and be kind.